Up until as little as 15 years ago, if you wanted reliable consumer advice prior to a purchase of a product or service, you had limited options. Quality magazines and Broad Street newspapers were the most obvious source of information because they were perceived as being trustworthy authorities on their subject. Newsflash, they were reliable sources, and while I know it's trendy amongst a certain demographic to label anything in print as fake news these days, they're still, for the most part, reliable sources today. Online review sites existed too back in the day, but they were usually just mirrors for print media, and online-only review sites were thin on the ground. 15 years ago, YouTube was growing in popularity, but it was mainly used by 12 to 17-year-olds shitting their pants laughing at the intellectual comedy stylings of Annoying Orange, and it hadn't yet exploded into the mainstream. When that uptick happened, which was thanks in no small part to the Google acquisition and subsequent partner program that meant that creators could get paid, that the volume of content on the site hit the stratosphere. These days, print media like magazines are a spent force, and the overwhelming majority of people base their purchasing decisions on information they read online or in YouTube reviews. Does this mean we're in a better place now, able to access reliable and unbiased reviews on products or services we're interested in purchasing? Now, before we get stuck into this, I do realise I'm taking a little bit of a risk posting this video. People in glass houses and all that. I have review content on this channel. I earn a few bucks a month in coffee money from people watching that review content. But I felt the need to post this video because, believe it or not, I've come in for a bit of criticism of late for being critical of products in my reviews. And when I thought about this very puzzling situation, it struck me that it goes to the very heart of the problem as I see it with YouTube product reviews. Let's consider why by first looking at the type of reviews you get on this platform. There are, broadly speaking, 3 different kinds of reviews on YouTube. The first kind of review, which I call a puff review, is little more than paid for advertising. It is crystal clear that the content creator has been given an incentive of some kind, often the product itself, because the review lacks any critical commentary whatsoever. The second kind of review is what I call the respectful review. In this case, it's clear to us viewers that the content creator does have some issues with the product or service, but they're either only subtly implying there are issues, or they're hastily referring to them in an almost embarrassed way with the briefest or throwaway comments. The third kind of review is the pull no punches review. In this case, the reviewer showcases both the good and the bad, but is not afraid of being critical of the product or service in question. Thankfully, there is still some small value to be had in the first 2 kinds of reviews. And that's because, if nothing else, it lets someone see the product and its features in action. They effectively serve as extended promotional material for the manufacturer or developer. But all the marketing material in the world is not going to help if there are flaws in the product or service that are not immediately obvious to the casual observer. And that is why the pull no punches review is so important on this platform, or any other for that matter. The problem is that the overwhelming majority of review content on YouTube falls into the first 2 categories. Now, I should say at this point, I don't think the content creators making the respectful type of reviews are being dishonest. They're usually just well-meaning enthusiasts making content within a fairly well-defined niche, and they simply want to be nice, either because they can't bring themselves to be critical, Well, they don't want to alienate the folks sending them products. The thing is, when you're a journalist, and that's what content creators are after all, citizen journalists, you can't always be nice, because if you are, you're only telling half of the story, and you're doing your viewers and your subscribers a disservice. No product or service is perfect after all. Some are more flawed than others, obviously. Some just have a few minor issues, but some, well, they're ill-conceived monstrosities that are an insult to humanity and should never have been released. There is a balance of power at play here, and I see YouTubers landing on the wrong side of the line more often than not. I greatly appreciate the folks who hit the subscribe button on this channel of mine, and it's them that I am working for when I post content here, not the company who developed the product or service in question. So that's the editorial content contained in a review. Now let's talk about the other stuff that's often tacked onto it. Things like affiliate schemes or the old exclusive, for instance. To showcase to you how murky the world of review content is on YouTube, let me tell you about a recent approach I had from a software company. I got an email from this marketing guy. He proposed a collaboration with me to showcase, his words, the products in question. Furthermore, he invited me to join their affiliate program, such that I might, and I quote, earn commissions for every referred purchase. So anyway, I went back to the marketing guy and I told him I had no interest in affiliate schemes, but I'd be happy to review his products on my channel since they broadly aligned with my interests. So he told me to pick a couple of products from his range, which I did, and he sent me through the codes. Unfortunately, he also sent me through a personalized link, granting viewers of this video a 20% discount. And he politely requested that I put that link both in the video and in the description because, and again, I quote, it's very important for us to track sales. At that point, I decided I definitely wasn't going to review the product. I couldn't give a shit about his ability to track sales, and I'm not here to serve as some marketing mouthpiece for his software company. He sent me a follow-up, which I ignored, then he sent another, which I also ignored, and then he sent a slightly more terse one with a couple of exclamation marks in it, so I decided to reply. I politely told him to cancel the codes he'd sent through. I told him I wasn't happy promoting special discounts with sales tracking codes, because it suggests that I have been sponsored in some way, and that compromises the fidelity of my review. He replied back, and it was clear that my issues with this all too common affiliate-style marketing technique had gone straight over his head. Now, I don't begrudge anyone trying to earn a buck in this world, but I ask you this. How can anyone possibly be impartial about a product if they're also in the affiliate scheme? It is surely in their best interest to get people to buy that product with their affiliate code. And you're hardly going to do that by suggesting the product is a piece of shit. It's a bit like getting the Pope to rate the world's religions and then wondering why the Catholics keep coming out on top. Personally speaking, I don't trust any review of any product or service where the content creator is in the affiliate scheme. The law of potential profits is strong, but by signing up, you've compromised yourself and fucked your integrity. So now that I've made my case for the flawed nature of non-critical reviews, you may be wondering why it is that I, personally, take such a quasi-religious stance on posting honest reviews. And the answer to that question is that many years ago, having earned a degree in English and journalism at Middlesex Uni in London, I got a job as a magazine journalist. During the 1990s and 2000s, I worked as both a salaried and a freelance technology and games journalist, working for very well-known magazines in the UK and abroad. In fact, I was the editor of a couple of computer magazines back in the day. Back then, we had strict rules about reviews because the reputation of the magazine as a source of honest information, and therefore its sales, relied upon it. The PR and marketing people from games and technology companies would use every trick in the book to try and sweeten the deal with us, but it was a point of pride on the magazines I worked on that we told it how it was. Our allegiances lay with the punters spending £5 on our magazines, not the companies spending 20 grand on a full-colour double-page spread above the fold advert in order to target those same punters. The format might have changed over the years from print to online content to streaming video, but the game hasn't. The tactics employed by companies to massage the truth to benefit them have not changed whatsoever. All that has changed is that the targets for the marketing efforts of companies are either too naive to realise what's going on or simply disinclined to care because, money. Now, don't get me wrong. I'd love to earn a decent wedge of cash from this channel. I'm not a fucking saint and I have bills to pay just like the next guy. But I strongly believe there is a right way of going about it. There is a tremendous amount of grifting going on this platform. And while the format has changed, the techniques have not. It's easy to unwittingly become a pseudo spokesperson for a company. One of the most common ways that companies push a content creator's review in a positive direction is to grant them an exclusive or a shared exclusive of some kind. DJI, for instance, have one of the most practiced and effective marketing divisions in the game. Their ability to flood this platform on the release day of a new product is a quarterly masterclass in mass media manipulation. By tapping into the pent-up enthusiasm for the latest, greatest drone or action camera and using that popularity to place early products with carefully chosen content creators and influencers, they can virtually ensure a trouble-free launch. There are, as I see it, some ways of earning money on this platform that don't mean you have to compromise your ideals. As long as they're not directly related to the products being reviewed, I reckon sponsorships are fine. Promotional money doesn't usually have an impact on the tone or outcome of the review content. And actually, an entire video that is clearly flagged as being sponsored by a company and which is created in conjunction with them is fine too, because the wool isn't being pulled over anyone's eyes. The problem is that pull no punches reviews are definitely in the minority on this platform. And when some people see them, they seem to be shocked. A decent percentage of the viewing public have apparently become so used to review videos that simply parrot a feature list and spruik a discount code that actual reviews are in some way insulting. But none of this is helped by the tribalism that has sprung up around the global brands that spend billions each year marketing their products to us. When I posted a review of Capture One and suggested that it was A, not actually a paradigm shift in raw photo editing, B, not the best raw editor on the market, and C, really quite expensive in comparison to the competition, there was pushback from Capture One users who clearly felt personally insulted. Judging by their comments, these folks seem to believe that using Capture One is as much a declaration of intent as it is a choice of raw editing software. To be a Capture One user, if you drunk the Kool-Aid, was to be a rebel, a subversive renegade, flicking the bird to that corporate monolith that is Adobe. Yeah, I'm picking on Capture One users, but there are brand evangelists for all the big companies and products, and you're just as likely to get it in the neck from DJI, Android, or Apple fanboys as you are from users of Notion, Obsidian, Affinity, touchy subject, and Figma. The idea that someone could be less than positive about the products produced by the aforementioned companies simply doesn't go down well with a strong percentage of YouTube users. It's not going to stop me from looking at the positives and the negatives in my reviews, because these products that photographers spend hard-earned cash on are usually bloody expensive and they're not always worth it. There are, of course, other folks on this platform. I'm not suggesting for 1 second that I'm some overweight lone vigilante the hero YouTube deserves, but not the one it needs right now, there are, fortunately, growing numbers of content creators who are willing to tell the unvarnished truth about products and services, and in fact, some of them operate massively popular channels. These types of content creators have been labelled de-influencers by the media, which is a fitting reaction to the high-gloss, low-value reviews that do persist on here. In an article from early 2023, The Guardian suggested that de-influencers wanted to stop us shopping. Now, while a metric shit ton less consumerism is absolutely fine by me, I do feel that the point of de-influencing is not in telling someone not to buy something, but in simply helping them to buy something that, works and shit. I make review videos the way I do, not through some pretentious renegade stance against the evils of late-stage capitalism, but simply because I hate seeing people getting ripped off. I hope you seek out other content creators on this platform who have a similar attitude. There's a growing number of us out there who are unlikely to ever be sponsored by Audible and couldn't give a flying fuck about it anyway. Let's look after each other, encourage those companies that are doing the right thing, and continue our mythological quest for the perfect camera bag, ND filter, and tripod. Till the next time, guys. Ta-ta.